Okay, this patient is a 38-year-old patient, and she was in a motor vehicle accident, and she sustained a fracture to her elbow. She needed to have an open reduction, internal fixation of her at the elbow, and she was casted for 7 weeks in a long cast. It's 2 days post-cast removal, and the patient has more complaint of pain at her elbow. That's about a 7 to 8 out of 10. She has tightness in her shoulder because she was not able to raise her arm up, lift it up, and has developed some tightness related to that. And as well as in her wrist, she's developed tightness in her wrist flexion and extension. Evaluation of the patient, she has at her shoulder, she has abduction to 90 and flexion to 90, and at her elbow she has limitations of 15 degrees from 90 degrees from the middle there, and at the wrist she has 15 degrees of range of motion of interflexion and extension. What I'm going to be doing is working at her shoulder first, progressing to her wrist, and then ending at her elbow, which is her most painful joint. Okay, and so I just want to check and see to make sure this positioning is okay for you. You feel like it's fairly comfortable? Okay, so I just want you to let me know if you feel like anything that I'm doing is increasing any kind of pain.
Okay.
Okay, so the first mobilization that that I'll be doing is a shoulder mobilization for hip for shoulder abduction, and I'm going to bring her shoulder up to here, and because stiffness is more of a concern for her, I'm going to be doing a grade 3. Okay, and first I want to check her range and her joint. So I'm checking the beginning range, through range, and the end range. And I'm going to be applying a grade 3 mobilization. Okay, and I'm going to do a grade 4. The next one I'm going to do is shoulder flexion. I wonder if I could scoot this way. Okay, thank you. Okay, and again the same thing. Could relax a little bit. Okay. You're going to do a grade 3. In the range of her resistance. And then a grade 4. Okay. Okay. And I think I'm going to have you scoot or a little bit more in the middle. We're going to do some physiological movement at her for external rotation. And I have my hand placed on her shoulder to kind of check her humerus if there's movement going in there. And she has a tightness. Her range of motion is 30 degrees. And we're doing a grade 3. And then for a grade 4, it's going to be addressing internal rotation of her shoulder and tightness there. And she has about 60 degrees. And so we're going to be doing like a grade 3 movement. and then I'm going to be moving into a grade 4, so finding that range of tightness there and pulsing into that tightness. Okay. I'm going to have you rest your arm down. Okay, so she has 15 degrees of range of motion at her wrist, and stiffness is more of a concern than pain. And so what I'll be doing is applying a grade 3 and progression to a grade 4 mobilization. And I've checked her physiological range, and I'm going to be checking her range at her joint, and the beginning range, the through range, and the end range. And for extension, what I'm going to be doing is a grade 3, and I'm going to also apply a little bit of distraction and incorporate some physiological movement in there too. Okay, and from there, how's that feel, Becky?
Good.
Okay, I'm going to do a grade 4. And with flexion, I'm going to be doing similar, but in with her wrist positioned into the limit of her flexion. And same thing, we'll be applying a grade 3. And then grade 4. Okay, Becky, for this next one, we're going to finish up with elbow, doing some mobilization at your elbow. So at Becky's elbow, she has a significant amount of pain, about 7 to 8 out of 10, and she has limitations with her range. She has only about 15 degrees of movement in past the 90 degrees. And so what I'm going to be using instead with Becky is we're going to use a grade 1 and maybe a grade 2 mobilization for pain modulation. And we're going to work in as much flexion as she can right now. And it's just going to be a grade 1 and grade 2. So a grade 1 is just tiny little pulses. How's that feel, Becky?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's all right.
And then grade 2 is just a little bit larger amplitude, but still within that pain-free range. Okay, great. Now for the last mobilization that we're going to do is going to be addressing the elbow extension, but I think we need to get you into a different position, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay, going to have you lie on your tummy. Bend it out too much. Now she has tightness, but she has a significant amount of pain at her elbow. So again, I'm going to try to address her elbow with a focus on more like pain modulation. So I'm going to be using a grade 1 and a grade 2 at her elbow. And it's just going to be very gentle. I'm supporting her elbow here, and she has towels here to help give her more support and to feel more comfortable, because I am touching a painful joint. So a grade 1 is going to be just a very slight movement. And I'm going to be checking with Becky to make sure it is doing okay.
That's okay.
Good. And then I'm going to move to a grade 2, which is Still in the pain-free, but a little bit larger amplitude of oscillation. Thank you, Becky,
You're
for
welcome.
being my subject today.